Yo, what's good, everybody? It's your bro, Taco. Today we're back with another video, and today I'm going to be doing my head coaching predictions. We got 8 teams with a head coaching vacancy, and I'm going to predict what coach they are going to get. We got the Raiders, the Cardinals, the Browns, the Falcons, the Titans, the Giants, the Dolphins, and the Ravens. I think that's the one I didn't say. We got 8 teams. Let's get right into them. Starting off with the Las Vegas Raiders, and I believe that they are going to get former Washington offensive coordinator and Arizona head coach Cliff Kingsbury. He left Washington kind of weirdly, and I feel like he is looking for a head coaching job. I feel like he was really good with Kyler Murray, was really good with Jane Daniels, and you're having the Raiders, most likely they're going to get Fernando Mendoza. And with the first overall pick, you need to pair him with an offensive coach. I think that the Raiders are not stupid enough to not do that, especially with Tom Brady probably making some of these decisions. Cliff Kingsbury also, he comes from the college game. He runs the very RPO-heavy offense, and I think that that fits well with Mendoza because that's what he does a lot in college, and it will make that shift a lot easier in the NFL. And you're mainly making this pick so you have a good quarterback. And while I wish they didn't draft a quarterback because he's going to be behind a bad offensive line with bad weapons if he goes to the Raiders this year, I say they trade back and wait until 27. That's not going to happen. This is for Fernando Mendoza, Cliff Kingsbury to the Las Vegas Raiders. Then you have the Arizona Cardinals. They're going to be hiring former Broncos head coach and current Broncos defensive coordinator Vance Joseph. I think that the Cardinals still want to go in a defensive route. I know that they have a question at the quarterback position. I know they have Marvin Harrison. They might want to draft a running back or get a guy in there because James Conner's getting old and it was a broken ankle, I think. But I do think that this team wants to go defensive. I think that they want to build that defense up. They have some young pieces on there as well. And there just isn't a ton of great offensive talent around. I think that the Cardinals are kind of at the bottom of the bunch when it comes to who wants to go there. But Vance Joseph is a very good defensive coordinator. It's not like there's a defensive head coach there and he's leading the number 1 defensive football with what? There's some great talent there. There's Patrick Surtain, but it's not like Nick Bonito's a good piece on the D-line. There's just a lot of good players, but it really takes that system to have the Broncos be where they are, and bringing that to Arizona could be huge for that team. Yes, he failed as a head coach. He also didn't have a quarterback. And yes, Arizona might not have a quarterback. They might ride it out with Kyler for the rest of this contract. I don't really know how cuttable the contract is. I think it's pretty bad if you cut him. So, yeah, but I do have the Cardinals getting Vance Joseph. Then you've got the Cleveland Browns. I also have them going the defensive route with former Jets head coach and Niners defensive coordinator twice, Robert Saleh. I don't think Robert Saleh got a fair shot in New York, mainly because the Jets stunk, and his first year there, Zach Wilson's rookie year, it was bad. Everything was bad. 2022, he had a good start, bad finish. But he never had a good quarterback, and then when he did have a good quarterback, he goes 2-3 with a close loss to Buffalo, and it wasn't bad. I don't remember all the games there, and then he gets canned, and it didn't feel right, and the Jets really fell off after that. I feel like he wasn't given a fair shot as a head coach, and with the Niners, he's been an amazing DC. This is going to be a guy that's going to catapult your defense. And when you have a piece like Myles Garrett and when you have a young piece like Mason Graham, like Carson Schwarzenegger, you want a defensive head coach. I think that this team is actually in a great position as long as they have a good OC. I don't know if Shador is the answer at quarterback, so I don't feel like you should get a guy to really, that is really closely knit with him because I still don't really know how Shador is going to do. It looked all right. He showed promise. But, yeah, I want a defensive head coach to go to the Browns, and I think that Robert Saleh is a perfect guy to really build a culture that feels like something that he was trying to build with the Jets, but it's also the Jets. You just can't do that, and especially with the whole Aaron Rodgers debacle, you really couldn't do that. I think he's going to go to the Browns, And I think he's going to be somewhat successful there. Give me Robert Saleh. Then you got the Tennessee Titans. I think that they're actually going to get probably the second biggest name in the coaching market. That is Kevin Stefanski. I think that the Titans are an attractive head coaching destination when you have a guy like Cam Ward. There is somewhat of an offensive line resemblance around him that they spent a lot of money on that didn't play that good. There is a lot of work to be done still, but there are young pieces, and there is this quarterback that seems to have all the talent in the world if you can develop him right. I think Kevin Stefanski feels like he would be the guy for that job. I feel like it would work really well. You're getting a former 2 times coach of the year because of the way he was able to turn around teams. And like Kevin Stefanski is a really good head coach. This would be a great hire for the Tennessee Titans. I know it's not the best of organizations, so they might go some stupid route, hire some special teams coordinator, whatever. But trust me, that this would be a great move if the Tennessee Titans were able to get Kevin Stefanski. I think it would be great for Cam Ward and the rest of that team, and they're going to be looking to develop around their number 1 pick. So you're going to hire an offensive head coach, and this is probably the best guy on this market. Definitely the most tenured guy, the most experienced, and yeah, I think he's going to be pretty good. Give me Kevin Stefanski for the Titans. Then you've got the Giants, and I do have them getting John Harbaugh. Now, some part of this doesn't make a ton of sense, mostly because he's about 20 years older than almost everybody else on this list, and everybody loves to go with young head coaches. We see it every year, and Harbaugh's like 65 now, which is kind of surprising, but it seems like the Giants are that big market team. They need a swing at head coach. They have talent. They definitely have talent with Dart and Scatabo and Neighbors and, Abdul Carter, Brian Burns, Dexter Lawrence, the guys on defense that you can build around. And I think that John Harbaugh can really put it together. I don't hope he does. Go Birds. But, yeah, I think that this would be the best fit for John Harbaugh, the big market. I just think that John Harbaugh would want to go and coach for the New York Giants. And he's going to have a choice to go wherever he wants. Take the place with the young quarterback and the young wide receiver 1 that already feel really proven, the young running back that's done great, and a bunch of defensive pieces. I think this might be the most attractive head coaching spot, even though this was a 4-13 team last year. So give me John Harbaugh for the Giants. Then you've got the Miami Dolphins, and I have them getting Chris Shula. First off, he's young. DC, I think that this team wants to go in the defensive direction. We see them fire a guy like Mike McDaniel, who's known as this offensive guru, and they have young pieces on this defense that really didn't play too bad overall as a defense this year. Chop Robinson, you got Kenneth Grant, you got, there's guys that this team can build off of, and I think you're going to add to that. There's been talk about Anthony Weaver getting a head coaching job. I think he stays. I think that could be a great defense in Miami. And I think that that's where they want to build, especially when you can't spend the money on a huge quarterback or a huge receiver or a huge offensive tackle. You know why? Because Tua, if you cut him, will cost you $100 million. You just can't do that. But also, I don't see how you turn back to Tua after benching him this year and him just not playing great football recently. But yeah, and also Chris Shula, he's a grandson of Don Shula. It just works with the Dolphins. It just feels like that should be their guy. Young, had a great system with the Rams. Rams play really good defense. And Chris Shula is going to bring that to Miami. Yee. Then you've got the Baltimore Ravens, and I have them going with Seattle offensive coordinator Clint Kubiak. I think that this is maybe the hottest name offensively besides Stefanski on this market. You're looking at an amazing offense, a quarterback that isn't known as this. Sam Darnold's not a tier 1 quarterback, playing really well, getting a receiver, however many yards he had, like 1,700, and they can run the ball effectively. They like to live through the run. That with Derrick Henry would be unbelievable. And I think that one of the reasons why the Ravens fired John Harbaugh was because they wanted one of these offensive gurus. Todd Monken has done his job, but you look at, offensive coordinators, they come and go really quickly. And you want a guy with Lamar that you can win a ring with. Whatever Derrick Henry has left, probably 1 or 2 seasons, you want to be able to win with. And I think Clint Kubiak is able to do that. The way his scheme works, it would be a lot of under center for Lamar, but he has shown that he is a capable passer, especially when he's more healthy. And I trust Clint Kubiak that he'll be able to do stuff with his $260 million quarterback. He's going to find a way to use him right. Yeah, I think that Seattle's offense looks great. I think Baltimore would want to take it. So give me Clint Kubiak. Then the last team, the Atlanta Falcons, I have them getting Brian Flores. Now, Brian Flores was a good coach in Miami. I still have no idea why they fired him. The team was awful in his first year. They go almost make the playoffs. Then they start 1-7 and almost make the playoffs. They had 9-8. It made no sense. And then the whole thing with him and Belichick and Brian Daly, and he sued the NFL. And so he had to work his way back up. And he still is coaching some of the best defense in the league for the Vikings. This team is missing a lot of talent and playing great defense, even when the offense was not holding up their end of the bargain. And so I think that this is one of the best defensive minds in football. I'm surprised he didn't get a job last year or the year before. And the Falcons are going to be able to get him. They have young pieces. I feel like Raheem Morris wasn't the guy for that defense. That was the way that they felt. And while I might want an offensive guy to coach up Penix and Bijan and them, I think they want this team to run through the defense, and Jalen Walker and James Pierce and Xavier Watts and Billy Boat. There was all these rookies that played amazing football, and they're going to want to build on that. Brian Flores is going to be able to use them the way he wants. Jalen Walker can play a bunch of places. It's going to be a fun time seeing Brian Flores with Atlanta, and that is what I want to happen and what I think will happen for Atlanta. That's going to be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you drop a like and subscribe to the channel, and I will see y'all in the next one for divisional round predictions. Peace.